Fantasy football podcast called Living the Stream comes to you each week. Streaming recommendations during NFL season, it's not just tongue-in-cheek. Quarterback, defense, tight end recommendations based on opposition matchup. Here are your podcast hosts, JJ Zacharyson and Danny Carter, living the stream.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Living the Stream. I'm JJ Zacharyson, the late-round quarterback, and as always, I am joined by my lovely co-host, Denny Carter. But it's not just Denny today. There's someone else that's joining the show because we have a very special event that's going to go on to start this show. Denny, what's going on, buddy?
We have a very special guest, the youngest guest ever in the history of Living the Stream. We have my son, Xavier. Xavier, say hi to the folks.
Hi to the folks.
There you go. He's a Zoomer, so he talks about Skibidi Toilet and other things. What else about being Sigma and things of that nature?
Right. Am I Sigma, Xavier? Yeah. Is your dad Sigma?
Tell the people what you said about JJ's office setup.
It's much better than yours. That's all I have to say.
Yeah,
and that's fair.
I think it's a fair assessment that was made there. So you guys, Denny, look, okay, I should say it's just the camera that does it. That's all it is.
The camera's nice.
The
camera's nice.
Just the camera that does it. All right, what are we doing to start today's show?
So instead of talking about random things that we find online, we're gonna open my pack of Coke flavored Oreos. And for those watching on the live stream, this will be much more fun for you than folks listening, but I'm going to talk through what it's like to eat these things along with Xavier now. Here's something I didn't know. This is Coke flavored Oreos with popping candy in it. Did you know this?
Yes, I know. Didn't I say that last time that there's like Pop Rocks inside?
I'm sorry.
Because you need how are you going to get carbonation in a cookie?
It's going to be horrific. So let's give it a try.
You don't know that.
I haven't had an Oreo in a long time. So here you go.
Here's my I think that Xavier's gonna like it, and Denny is gonna actually like it, but pretend that he doesn't like it. All right, here we go.
Oh yeah, it's popping.
Are they
These
good?
aren't even that bad.
Did they taste like Coke?
Yeah.
There's a tinge of Coke. You know what it tastes like? Actually, here's what it tastes like. You remember those little gummy bottled Cokes?
Yes.
It tastes like that.
Interesting. Have you ever had those poppy drinks? It's like they're like an alternative to soda or pop. Like, they're called poppy, and they're like, they're like the standard, like, prebiotic things that, like everything new that comes out that's like health oriented or like better for you. They always have to have like prebiotics in them, but it's like a slightly carbonated, kind of watered down version of, not even watered down, but like not as carbonated. You can tell it's not as like unhealthy as like a regular soda would be or pop would be. And I feel like that's probably what that would be like to some degree, where it's like you can taste the flavor, but it's not as intense as what just a regular Coke would be.
I mean, overall, it's horrific. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I honestly, I said it was good earlier, but I took a second bite.
The second bite was not as good as the first. That's what I say.
So how many of those do you think you could consume?
I mean, look, here's the whole pack. If you gave me enough money, I could eat this whole thing.
Could you?
Yeah.
How much money would you need to do that?
The whole thing? How about for you? Be realistic. You know how the game goes.
All right. Pop me 75 and I'll do it. 75.
75.
All right. What about you, Denny?
I need 500.
500?
Yeah.
Okay, we might have to put up a GoFundMe or something.
Oh, good grief!
You shouldn't have said that number.
I know. No, I should have said 500 grand.
Yeah, you really should have.
Because you guys would have met that too.
Yes.
Man, yeah, it's not good. That's what I'd say. So I hope everybody's happy.
There's no way they're bad though.
No, hold on.
They're pretty bad. I don't know.
Like I can't comprehend that. Like I feel like this is very similar to your like donut take or your cake take or something like that.
Yeah, donuts are bad, obviously.
Why do you have
Yeah, well, Xavier got this Coke. It's from 1983.
Mm,
It's from the last time the Orioles won the World Series.
It's not wine.
My dad got it
Interesting.
for me.
Why are you saving up Coke? It's not wine.
It's
have I told you that I have I think I've told you I have an IC light in my fridge in my garage that's from like 2013 maybe,
Really?
something around then, and I'm gonna drink it when the Pirates win the World Series. But do you know how I know it's never gonna happen, so it's fine. Like I don't need to. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
right. I mean, you'll be 85, and you'll
Yeah,
still
by
be
that
like,
point,
"Oh,
by that point, like they'll have some sort of solve for gluten intolerance.
oh yeah, you're right."
Yeah, it'll be fine. You'll be we'll be de-aging by then anyway.
Yeah, like that guy, like that rich guy who's the agent.
The rich guy who looks 10 years older than he is.
I feel like it's not going well, is what I would say about that experiment. But
No, I don't really understand I understand what he's trying to do, but I don't understand the results of this so far. I mean, he certainly does not look like he looks old.
yeah, no, he doesn't look good. He looks like the bad guy from Ghostbusters 2. He looks like that guy.
He does. He looks like.
Can I put this out?
Yeah.
All right. I just want to point out from Index of Suspicion. I see your comment saying it's a collector's item. Good. I'm glad someone finally understands a collector's item.
Yeah, that's what this is.
You're okay then.
No, not this, not the cookie. He's talking about the Orioles Coke.
Oh, I thought he was.
No, he's talking about the Coke, man.
Jeez. No, it's not a collector's item.
It is. All right, say bye to the people.
Bye.
See you, Xavier.
Oh, jeez, I thought you opened that. Oh my gosh.
It did sound like that. That was
Yeah.
impressive. Man,
Right.
okay. So out of 10, what are you rating those?
Oh, like a 2. Xavier says.
Xavier says 4. Yeah,
Yeah.
2 out of 10. That's about what I expected.
Yeah.
3 out of 10. We got around it. Come on.
What would a regular Oreo be
Okay.
though?
A regular Oreo for me, a 4.
Index of Suspicion says I followed these analysts for years, only to be owned by the offspring of Denny.
I would say regular Oreos. Are we talking about milk or no milk?
Either way.
Oh, 10 out of 10. Milk.
What about no milk? What is it?
They're nasty without milk.
Oh, okay.
I just sat on them.
All right, buddy. See you later.
All right. Bye.
See you, Xavier.
See you.
Man, that was thrilling.
It was. I'm glad we could do that.
So thrilling. Man, I was thinking, what would we talk about today to open up the show? And I think the only reasonable thing, aside from obviously you eating the cookies, is to talk about the cope that's going on with analysts and players alike
What's going on
in fantasy football right now. It's just it's really interesting to me. Like, we have an environment right now in fantasy football where all these wide receivers are getting hurt to an unprecedented degree. Like, I don't think that we've ever seen
It's crazy.
this. I haven't like looked at the data, but like, not only are wide receivers getting hurt at a higher rate than like running backs are, but the good wide receivers are getting hurt.
I know, man.
That's been the problem.
My
But
teams.
I think that it's very simple to say, hey, look, guys, this is kind of an outlier season for wide receiver injuries. Guarantee you, just given what the market does every single year, we're gonna next season go against the grain a little bit and go hero RB or zero RB, and it will be a winning strategy because all of these running backs are going to be pushed up the board because we're going to have these false ideas that they're going to be healthy and they're going to be productive.
Yeah.
Like, this is what we see. This is why in my draft guide I wrote that strategy does not change that dramatically from one year to the next. Like your base idea of how you should draft in fantasy football should not change that much from one year to the next. I mean, I go hero RB with almost every single one of my rosters. I'll change it up and go 2 running backs to start sometimes, 0 running backs sometimes, depending on like how drafts are unfolding and stuff like that. But I think it's a mistake for people to look at what people are just generally doing. And look, I kind of made that mistake to a degree with like best ball this year, where I kind of played into what I was being told to do in a way, because I was new to max entering BBM and I didn't want to really screw it up. And I'm going to probably have a below average advance rate now because, I mean, you only need one lineup in BBM to for it to pay off. But still, like, I'm going to have probably going to have a below average advance rate because all of those like good running backs, instead of being at the 8 or 9% or 10% range, I'm more in like the 4 to 6% range with them in terms of exposure. So like, I understand how people get into that rhythm, but I do think, I know this has become sort of a rant. I do think that, not being overly dramatic with your shift in, in strategy is important.
I mean, you know how I draft teams usually. I mean, best ball is different. I don't really push zero RB too hard in best ball for obvious reasons. I did want to point out a comment that says hero RB, more like my neighbors hear me cry on Sundays.
Yeah. I think it's important though, because like we're trying to find like people, you go to Twitter or you like read some analysts and stuff, and it's like they're trying to figure out what went wrong or why what they said at the start of the season, wasn't wrong. And the simple answer is that this has been kind of unprecedented. Like this is not this isn't really a normal season, and that's fine. Like I always have the attitude, and I've DM'd you. I talked to you and Rich about this actually yesterday. But like during a fantasy season, I've always had the attitude of I know I'm going to get stuff. Like my preseason takes are not going to be 100% right. Like I'm going to miss some very obvious things. But I don't need to get to that in the middle of the season, because what good does that do? We're not redrafting right now. It doesn't matter if, I was too low on this player, I was too low on Kyron Williams, and now he's a top 6 or 7 player in fantasy. Okay, I can talk about it at the end of the season. Like right now, we know where we're at, and we can just take where we're at and let me help you win a fantasy title given where we're at right now.
That's right. Yeah. It's a weekly game. And that never strikes me until like week 1, when I'm like, oh, right. Yeah. Like nothing about like the big picture matters anymore. I'm just trying to get by weekly. And
yes,
and that should be kind of your guiding light, your guiding principle in this whole thing.
Yeah. And look, we still have like, there's still we're only in week 8. Like there's still time for things to change and your takes to be right or your takes to be wrong. I mean, like, do you know how many people hit me up after the way that Chase Brown started his season? And like,
when you say hit me up,
yeah, really. I mean, just like just emails and like Reddit tags and stuff, just being like, you told me to, I was into the 3 backfields that I was into drafting this year. The very clear ambiguous backfields, in my opinion, were Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Tennessee. Those 3 backfields, I was drafting all of the running backs in those backfields fairly heavily. Some of them, Tajay Spears a little bit more than Tony Pollard, but I still had a lot of Tony Pollard, right? And then, with Cincinnati, a little bit more Chase Brown than Zach Moss, but I still had some Zach Moss. And the amount of people who came at me and they're after week 2, they're like, Chase Brown was a terrible pick. And I had to make a hold transaction on 15 transactions to hold Chase Brown just to shut people up. Just to talk about it, right? Like it's still, I know it's halfway through the season, but like it's week 8, things are going to change. Take the season in quarters. We're still in the second quarter right now. There's still a lot to go, and there's still a lot to play out. So, if you are coping and tilting a little bit, at least take solace in the fact that like things are going to change a lot over the next 5 or 6 weeks.
So much. Like have you guys not played before? Like you never done that? We go through this every year. I guarantee you week 7 will seem like 100 years ago by week 13.
Yeah, exactly. Just like week 2 seems like 100 years ago. Yeah, one of the things that like I get like amped up when crazy stuff happens in fantasy football. Like, I mean, like injuries and like, just stuff coming out, because it allows the people who understand player vals and game theory a little bit more. It allows them to really take advantage. Like, I'm not going to lie. The first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, my teams were very mid, right? And then the chaos starts, bye weeks and injuries and stuff. My teams have been destroying over the last 2 or 3 weeks. And I think it has everything to do with the fact that there has been that chaos, and I've been able to adjust because, I do a lot of work in fantasy and player prospecting and analysis and all that kind of stuff. And it's a lot easier to be able to adjust that way when you have that backbone and you understand when this is where like the advantage really comes into play and where the skill comes into play within fantasy football, in my opinion.
The waiver wire grind does set people apart, and
it definitely does.
I definitely fall short in some leagues I'm in where on a Wednesday morning I'll be like, oh dang, I forgot.
Right. And it's also one of those things where like you have to, we're all in different like size leagues. Like I'm in 2 14-team leagues that we draft in Canton, the Kings Classic, where we do a snake draft and an auction draft live at the Hall of Fame back to back. So we're drafting for 7 straight hours, right? And it's the same group of people. And we do a snake and an auction draft. Well, earlier it's a very deep league because it's a 14-teamer, pretty deep rosters. So there's not that much on the waiver wire. Well, I knew that Mike Evans was a little bit banged up this past week, right? And so I went to the waiver wire and I added Jalen McMillan before, but it has nothing to do with, hey, I knew that Chris Godwin was going to have a horrific injury. It's just it's a matter of understanding like who would step in and the kind of players these guys are. Cause I still think, I think McMillan has the most upside. He might not even become anything, but I think he has the most upside of the guys who are remaining there. And then things fall into place. And sometimes things really fall into place and sometimes they don't. But those are sort of the micro moves that you can make and just be a better fantasy player and win championships.
That's right. We are on the same page.
I just had to rant a little bit about that. I think it's important for people to hear though, like so many people are tilting right now, understandably so, because their best players are all hurt, right? If it's like if you had Chris Godwin and Nico Collins and Brandon Ayuk, the one thing I have Ayuk in one team. I didn't draft a ton of them this year. I have him on one team. Like he's been not good this year.
No, he's been terrible.
I understand. Like I don't think that people should be tilting that hard about the Ayuk thing. The Chris Godwin thing is mega tilting because he was like a legit league winning player.
He was.
That's a really rough beat.
Yeah, of whom I had zero exposure in redraft, and I'm not. Look, I'm sad that he went down.
Yeah.
I was getting clobbered by Chris Godwin in a redraft sense.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I think that people need to hear the fact that like it's not over. Even if you lose these guys, you just got to get in the dance, man, and just let variance take over. That's all this comes down to.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, this push like to get the top seed or whatever, or even get a bye week. I get, you want a bye week if you can get it, but just make the playoffs. Like if you're sitting right now at 3-4, or even 2-5, you still can make the playoffs.
You still can get in.
You can still do it. Like I believe in you if you really apply yourself to it. The reason I say that is I'm talking to myself. I'm 3-4 in a couple leagues. I'm going to make the playoffs in those leagues because I'm going to start trying hard now.
Where are you at in the listener league now? My team, my listener league team really has taken a hit because I had like Rashid Shaheed and Jonathan Taylor and I had Baker, and obviously Baker just lost. I had Jameson Williams, who, good Lord, what is going on with Jameson Williams, man?
Yeah. I will say 2022 Jameson Williams wouldn't have cared enough to take the illegal substances. So at least he's grinding. He's trying to get an edge, and you got to feel good about that.
So right now we're both 4-3. You're in 4th. I'm in 5th. You have about 20 more or 30 more points than me. A little bit less than 30 more points.
Oh, bro. Oh my gosh. You know what I did? Okay, I have Goddard, right? I picked up Jonnu. And I said, okay, if Goddard's out, I'm going to plug in Jonnu. And I forgot to do it. I forgot.
Tough scenes. Jeez. We're also back to back, I think, in Apex right now. I've made a little bit of a comeback in Apex.
My team's dead there. I had Jaden Daniels. I'm dead.
I mean, you'll be okay with a quarterback injury. I have Mike Evans. I mean, and my wide receiver. I have Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker and Josh Allen, which are kind of like. Yeah, the Breece Hall Kenneth Walker combo is kind of lethal right now. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
You can get 12 to 14 running back receptions a week for your team.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, all right, let's move on to what happened last week. It was a low scoring week across fantasy football, and that trickled into our streamers, especially at quarterback. But fortunately, because Cooper Kupp didn't play, we knew to downgrade Stafford. We only had Drake May as like our main go-to guy. He scored 20.8 fantasy points. He was fine. He had a great game against Jacksonville because everyone has a good game against Jacksonville. Matthew Stafford scored 4, which was amazingly low in that matchup against Vegas. The thing that's so frustrating with LA right now, and part of this is that I don't have enough Kyren Williams, so I'm tilting about it, but only 27% of their touchdowns have come through the air so far this year, which is pacing to be the lowest of the last 15 years. I mean, plus I don't even look back past 2011 with that data. So there's going to be some regression there, but then they're going to be a better offense when they get the wide receivers back. And then the running back schedule is really good. And it's crazy because like they have by far the lowest running back target share in the league. It's like 8%. They're not even throwing to Kyren Williams.
Right.
He's just scoring 8 touchdowns a game. Like it's all of their touchdowns just go to Kyron Williams. It's crazy. It's wild.
They're pretty run heavy too. 4% below
are.
their expected pass rate. You know, that's like basically like the Colts or the Saints.
Right. So look, Kyron Williams is good. I'm just saying that like there is some of that like bad fortune going on with like Stafford and the passing attack and stuff. And I think that that's going to flip at least a little bit when the guys get back. And so maybe Stafford down the line will be somewhat of a streaming choice. Daniel Jones scores 6 points. Andy Dalton, I had to check because it was really weird. I put it in the spreadsheet, put our streamers in the spreadsheet, and it auto generates their score based on, all the other sheets. And Andy Dalton had 0. And he scored exactly 0 points according to this.
That is not good.
No. I mean, look, there were deeper plays, but yeah, I expected more than 0 points.
0?
I didn't investigate this much further, but I'm pretty sure he scored just 0 points this past week.
Wow. He's obviously they're gonna have to bench him and bring back Bryce.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, I think that's inevitable.
What's the point of this? Like, it'd be one thing if they were like putting up a fight, but
yeah. Well, he had 93 yards and he had 2 picks, and then he had 3 yards rushing. Okay, so the 2 picks, we have -4 for the record with our scoring, or -2 per interception. So that's why he scored 0 points.
Didn't that Washington Carolina game didn't it have like a 50-point total?
Yeah, it was really high. Well, I mean, Washington kind of got there for that. I don't know if it went over or not. What was the final? 47. It was 47 total was what they scored. It was 7-47. It was 7-40. It was a 47-point result.
Oh, okay.
I think the under did hit.
Okay. Well, I felt like it was super inflated because the Panthers can't score against anybody, but especially an improving Washington defense. I just didn't see it happening.
Yeah. So someone said Dalton got me 2 points. That's probably because it's a -1 interception league instead of -2, which is what we're counting.
In my league, he scored -40.
The funny thing though is that tight end was actually really good this past week. Our worst play was Juwan Johnson, 4.8. We had Colby Parkinson, 5.2. But then we had 3 other tight ends. Cade Otton got a lot of garbage time. He scores 18.
Oh, how good was that?
Oh man, I have him in a tight end premium league. It was just
wow.
Oh, it was a beautiful thing.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. Zach Ertz scores 14 and Hunter Henry scores 17.2. So pretty good week for the tight ends. Defense, we had the main one is Cincinnati. They score 15. New Orleans only scores 2. New England was a really bad play. Ends up being against Jacksonville. Yeah. They had -1. And then Indianapolis scores 10 against Miami. So 50% hit rate with the defenses this past week. We like to be a little bit better than that. But, tight end was good. Our main quarterback play was good. It was really our deeper stuff that sucked last week. That was,
so it goes. That's
yeah.
The way it goes.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to week number 8. I'll kick things off with who I think is the top quarterback streamer this week, Denny, who is Bo Nix against Carolina.
Crazy.
How wild is it that right now the Denver Broncos, depending on book, but the one that I pull from, they have a 26-point implied team total.
That's wow.
The Denver Broncos do.
Wow.
They're playing Carolina. Bo Nix has averaged 19.3 points per game over his last 3. He's rushed for 136 yards over his last 2 games. He's averaging 6.2 points per game with his legs right now. And the Panthers on paper, they're the second best matchup for quarterbacks by adjusted fantasy points allowed. I mean, this is a smash spot for Bo Nix. I mean, like he should be able to score at least 15 points, you would think.
It's crazy. It's Tebow all over again because you're not getting hardly any passing production, but you can bank on like 75 yards and a touchdown from Bo Nix on the ground. Yeah. So it is a weird thing.
So,
all right.
By the way, I see a comment from someone saying JJ always taking the top quarterback streamer as BDE. I will say it's big, energy. Our process, guys, just so you know, I'm the one who divvies up who we end up talking about every week.
Right.
And I try to overlap what I've already done for like my 15 transactions column. Right. And so because I talk about obviously one of the better quarterback streamers each week, I just end up taking that guy because I already did the research for it.
And I'm fine with it. Honestly,
Yeah, then he's cool with it.
JJ can have his BDE as the Zoom.
Yeah, I can look. He gives me the spotlight, just like I give him the spotlight to start the show by eating some Oreos. You know?
I get to eat some Oreos. He gets to talk about whoever he just talked about, and that's fine.
It's fine.
Look, I'm going to talk about Matthew Stafford for a second, but it's like an ugly matchup against the Vikings. This game, for some reason, has a 48-point total. The Rams have a 22.5 implied total. I guess that's just Cooper Kupp coming back, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Minnesota can be, like it could be the negative script, like we've seen. Like, look at last week. Like they were, they were at least a little bit porous defensively.
Yes, no. I mean, Goff carved them up at points in that game. The Vikings are allowing the second lowest rushing success rate on the season. They do profile as a slight pass funnel. I really just I don't see many scenarios where the Rams can establish it against the Vikings. And so I think they're going to have to drop back a lot. I do have a question, though, for you. Would you play Stafford over Drake May against the Jets?
Yeah. If Cooper Kupp's playing, yes.
I struggle with that one because
the Jets are banged up, though.
Right. They're banged up. I'm not afraid of the Jets as a defense, although they're good, but I'm not afraid of matching up against them. Also, May's rushing, and like you just get nothing from Stafford in that.
I would imagine that I'm going to rank them in the same tier because I do tiers. Like I don't have strong convictions when guys are in the same tier in my rankings. So, if someone wants to play May over Stafford, I'm not going to fight back.
Yeah. Like, okay. So Drake May, 5 rushes in week 6, 3 rushes. That's not many in week 7.
Yeah, but we know there's still I don't know. I think the game environment's just better for Minnesota and LA than, the Jets and Patriots could just be a really ugly divisional game.
It could. You're right.
That's my fear, I think. All right, we'll go to Russell Wilson next. This is a frighteningly low 36.5 point over under. But the Steelers still have like a 21 point total. I thought Russ looked pretty competent against the Jets. Did you see how sorry to the kids here, how badass Mike Tomlin's answer was about this is why he gets paid, this
is why I'm well compensated.
Well, yes, exactly. Like it was how perfect was that answer? Like the Steelers were right. They were right in making this move. Say what you want. They were right making this move.
Yes, they were.
They were right.
And, Justin Fields is never going to see the field again.
Right. Look, Russell Wilson. I was into Russ like in best ball and stuff because I thought he fit the Arthur Smith offense well, where it's predicated on down the field passes, a lot of play action, obviously a good run game. Not unlike what we saw Russ thrive in Seattle to some degree. Right. And so we saw that. Like he threw the ball. He had an ADOT this past week of 8.6, which was a number that Justin Fields hit in only 2 of his 6 games this year. Russell Wilson does it in 1 of 1. George Pickens, his catchable target rate wasn't really any different with Russ versus Justin Fields, but he at least like is getting put in positions where he's using his skill set, right? Which is like the offense needs explosive plays.
Right.
It needs explosive plays. And it doesn't have that because you don't have individual players who can create those plays other than a George Pickens. Jaylen Warren can too, but he hasn't been healthy. But like George Pickens is the only one on that team who can create those like really explosive plays. And he wasn't able to do that with Justin Fields. Like it's just a very bad combination of it's sort of like an Anthony Richardson with like Michael Pittman. It's like a bad match overall.
That's true. That is true. I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Fields has a package going forward of some kind. Something in the red zone, something where they use him as a rusher, and that would suck for Russell. But and Mike Tomlin actually mentioned that during a press conference on Tuesday. He talked about using Justin Fields in certain situations, so just be aware of that.
Yeah,
and if we do get confirmation on that, does that change the way you look at Russ?
I think he's still like they get the Giants this week, low over under game. The Giants aren't even like that good of a matchup per se. I do worry. The Giants have been able to get to the quarterback, so I do worry a little bit about that too. I think this is like a deep play. Like I think that like this isn't a like play Drake May over Russell Wilson probably.
I would say so too. Yeah,
I just don't like this environment at all. But I think that look, if you're looking at Russell Wilson, it's probably more of like an emergency situation for your team. So you probably have to like ignore the Justin Fields thing and just be like, okay, we got to just ride with this because I'm kind of at my last option anyway.
So just to confirm, we living the stream are afraid of Justin Fields' package.
Yes.
Yes.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know what Drake May's percent rostered number was. I can't remember. I think he was over the mark. But look, if May's out there, lump him in with the deep play.
Yeah, I agree.
Group.
Also, oh, did you see how amped up Russ was before the game? He did that quick interview with Jack Collinsworth on the sideline. Did you see that?
I don't think I saw. I was working up until the start of the game. So
you're right. He was outside of his mind when he was giving that interview.
I believe it.
He was buzzing. Like he could barely like string 5 words together. That guy was locked all the way in, and you have to respect it because I mean he knows. Look, Russell Wilson knows 1 or 2 bad starts and it's over for him.
Yeah, his career's done. Yeah, it's not just this; it's his career. But yeah, I thought he played well. I was laughing at all of the premature bench Russell Fields tweets in game.
That's what I didn't see some of the first quarter, and I'm seeing posts online where people were being like, it's over. Like, you got to put Fields in.
He wasn't even playing that bad.
And then I tune in the second quarter, and he's lighting them up. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't even playing that poorly. And by the way, people were saying against the Jets. Look, I understand it's scary on paper. They're banged up, though. I don't love any of these guys, is my point. Like, it's a pretty rough week. I think that Bo Nix is the very, very obvious go-to this week.
I mean, yeah, like I'm looking at the Jets numbers, like they're not that intimidating of a matchup. I don't think.
Yeah. Are you gonna talk about your boy?
I am. I'm sorry. Yeah. Let me get back to my notes. Yes. Just Marcus Mariota. I just want to mention 11 rushing attempts for 34 yards in week 7. 11 rushes. I just couldn't overlook that. That included 2 rushes inside the 10-yard line. That's obviously part of this Washington offense because Jaden Daniels on the season has 8 rushes inside the 10. Those are high value sort of looks for a quarterback or opportunities for a quarterback. Commanders have a 21-point total. Look, I get it. The Bears are tough and they're coming off a bye, and this doesn't really look great for the Commanders. But Bears opponents are 5% below their expected pass rate this season. So I think we'll see a lot of running from Mariota and from the Commanders running backs.
Yeah, smart. Look, really smart for Washington to get a backup like Mariota who can at least run the offense in a similar way that Jaden Daniels can. So good on them for Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota seems like a pretty likable guy.
He does. Yeah. Well, he sort of bailed on the Falcons, but besides that,
yeah, that's true. I've come to think after the Deshaun Watson stuff this weekend, it really reinforced my idea of like not really rooting for the people and just kind of rooting for the player, like respecting what they do on the field and all that, because you just don't know who these guys really are. You have no idea. Mm-hmm. It's all based on like your perception on how they present themselves to the media and stuff. And, I think that obviously there's a difference between Deshaun Watson and what he's done versus, someone who just seems like he's mean to a teammate or something like that, or to the media. But, I do think that injury probably made us all like feel kind of weird when we saw it happen.
Hard one to know how to react.
Hard one, and I think that's fine. It's fine to have that reaction. Just say like, I don't know how to really react right now.
Did you see the Jameis Winston interview after the game?
Yeah, that was a little bit annoying.
That was weird. Like, why? First of all, why are you talking in that cadence?
Yeah.
Okay. Like this weird cadence for like a 4-minute soliloquy on Deshaun Watson as this great upstanding citizen, right? And I just that was pretty gross to me.
Yeah, and look, I get it. It's their teammate, and like they have different experiences. We all have different experiences. I don't want to like dig too into it. I just think that it's okay to be like, hey, we felt funny in this situation. Like we, as humans who have experienced this Deshaun Watson saga and have very strong feelings about what he did, or what's been accused that he's done. Like, I think it's fine to just be like, yo, this I don't know how to feel right now, because it's a different kind of situation than we've really ever seen before.
I offered no public statement on the matter.
Yeah, I don't exactly. That's basically what I'm saying here. All right. Tight end, you have 2, so why don't you get to
Jatavian Sanders is still a thing. He's still humming. Of course, this all for some reason his usage depends entirely on Tommy Tremble's health status. Tommy Tremble suffered a horrifying concussion 3 weeks ago. He's still out, but we'll see if he suits up this week. Just keep an eye on Tremble's status. Anyway, Sanders 8th in tight end targets and 6th in tight end receptions over the past 2 weeks. Tight ends. The tight end position is averaging about 8 targets per game against Denver. Of course, the Panthers are playing Denver this week. You could do worse than Sanders.
Cade Otton, you get no Godwin, which, man, that was hard to watch. No Godwin, no Evans. Evans is going to be out till like week 12 after their bye. Otton continue to runs a really elite route participation, 89% in week 7. He's seen at least a 16.7% target share in each of his last 5 games. Gets the Falcons this week. That's a below average opponent by adjusted points allowed, but there's a 45.5 point total. He could see 20% plus of the team's targets without these 2 wide receivers. Like, I think a projection is going to have him at like 18%.
Over the past 3 weeks, only Patrick Mahomes has fewer air yards per attempt than Baker Mayfield. So it's check down season in Tampa.
Nice.
Hunter Henry against the Jets. I know we're all scared to death of the Jets defense for some reason, but Jets are 7-point favorites. They are a massive run funnel, but I don't think that matters here. I think the Patriots will be forced to drop back a lot and throw the ball a lot. Henry, over the past 2 games, 21% target share, leads the Patriots.
Defense, the Lions get the Titans. This is one of the easier go-to defensive streamers that we'll find this year. Tennessee's second worst in pressure rate allowed this year. The Lions are 11-point favorites, so just pick up the Lions.
There you go. And then I have the Chargers against the Saints, and who knows who's going to start for the Saints. It won't be Derek Carr this week. It could be Spencer Rattler. The Chargers are 7.5-point home favorites here. Spencer Rattler is being sacked on 30% of his pressures, one of the highest rates in the league. And Rattler has the 3rd highest rate of turnover-worthy plays. The Chargers, I believe, have a ceiling here.
All right, that's it. To recap, we get the Lions, the Chargers at defense. We have Jatavian Sanders, Cade Otton, and Hunter Henry. And then we have Mariota, Russ, and Stafford as deep plays. And Bo Nix is the main quarterback streamer this week.
All right, let's do it.
Let's go to Twitter. We have some questions, some from last week still. I'm trying to save some of them, the good ones that we can, we never run out of supply here. This is from @SteakKnifeOb. Okay. How many showers is one towel good for?
God, I don't want to answer this.
I'd probably say, okay, I shower daily. I have one shower per day.
Right, me too.
I probably wash my towel every 2 weeks. Is that fair?
I'd say about 2 weeks. And that's probably, look, somebody's going to chime in and be like, you are like probably killing yourself by doing this. Like you're endangering yourself and your family by not washing your towel every other day or whatever. But that's how it is as a middle-aged man. You don't clean your towel very often, and that's about 2 weeks for me.
Yeah, and I'm not much of like really getting between the cheeks after when I'm drying off. So like if that's the case, then you can last a little bit longer with it.
Yeah, it's mostly padding. It's a padding situation.
Yeah, people are very upset about this.
Wow,
yeah.
Sam Shervin is not.
I'd say probably every week and a half, 2 weeks. Yeah, I think it's fair.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, so what you guys are doing? Wait, you're taking a shower, you're drying off, and you're throwing the towel into the washer.
Is that what do you guys live in a hotel?
Yeah, I don't. So,
yeah, I personally don't. I mean, you guys could maybe help us out and join the Patreon, and maybe we could get there. Yeah. But we're not there. We don't have maid service in our house.
So Uncle Ted in the comments, he has us pegged. He says we are single. We are single for sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Uncle Ted is right on.
That's definitely us. The two guys in the fantasy football space who have probably been with their significant others longer than anyone else in the fantasy space.
The most single guys, some would say.
The most single guys. Next question, @IamGroot 2001. Thoughts on wearing multiple clothing brands? For example, a Nike hat with an Adidas shirt and Under Armour shorts. Fashion faux pas or acceptable?
Apparently it's a faux pas. Is that right?
So look, this is my thing. My whole life, I've never liked. This is more, instead of like thinking about brand of clothing, I think of like sports teams, right? I would never wear a Steelers t-shirt or like a Pirates t-shirt with that same team's hat.
Oh, because you look like you're trying to be part of the team.
Kind of. It's kind of too much, right?
It's
Like
too
it's just
much.
it's too much. And then I look back, and I think maybe part of this stems from my brother, because my brother was a huge sports. He's 6.5 years older than me. He was a huge sports fan growing up, and he was like kind of a nerd for it, similar to how I am. And there's like an old picture of him wearing a Marlins hat. And this is like early 90s.
Okay.
This picture. Marlins hat, a jacket that had Yarmer Yager's like name on it, and then a Raiders t-shirt.
Oh, that's weird.
It was a really intense crossover going on there. Yeah.
The Marlins were so big in the early 90s. No one remembers that.
Yeah, but dude, I'll tell you what, my favorite baseball player of all time is Moises Alou, and he played for the Marlins team that won in '97, was it, when they won
Yes,
the
it
World
was.
Series?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They beat Cleveland.
Yeah, he played a big role in them winning that.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't like wearing the same brands across my body like that.
I didn't know this back when I used to wear that stuff. Back in middle school and high school. So I would come to school with like Reebok warm-ups on, like warm-up pants, and then like a Nike t-shirt, and people would be like, "What are you doing, bro?" And I was like, "What?" Like, it's comfortable and it matches. Like, no, it doesn't match. I said, no, the color matches. That doesn't matter. The brands have to match. You have to be a brand ambassador.
What is the like go-to these days? Like, are people trying to match or not trying to match? I have no idea.
Well, we've told my son, like you told Xavier, like, hey, buddy, you gotta match brands, apparently. And so he actually has taken that seriously. He's in middle school now, so they're a little more serious about fashion and whatnot. But yeah, he said it's a thing. It's a thing where you gotta still match it up. The Zoomers are still doing that.
Interesting. I've never been a match it up kind of boy. Next question, with Parks. What's the worst candy you can get while trick-or-treating? For me, it's a tie between Milk Duds and apples with razor blades in them.
Yeah, we don't want, apples with razor blades, not optimal.
Yeah, that's not what we want. That's
also not real.
Yeah.
I don't want to spread that, perpetuate that.
Yeah.
That's a story. It's never been proven. And in fact, the only times that it's ever been documented is when a family member was doing it to another family member.
Yes. Yeah. Worst Halloween candy. Milk Duds are bad. You know what I really, now that I'm thinking about it, really think are disgusting, is Whoppers.
Oh yeah, Whoppers are gross.
They're like actually bad. Now that like I can taste it right now, and it's horrible.
The chalky, so chalky.
Oh.
They make you so thirsty. It's insane.
Yeah, and you get like the back of the throat feeling with them. Like it's just it's a horrible candy.
After you eat a few, you're going.
yeah, they're terrible. They're terrible.
Those are bad. I mean, Smarties? No, Smarties aren't that bad.
Smarties are fine. Like they're fine. My daughter's a big sugar instead of chocolate Halloween, because I was always a chocolate Halloween boy, and she's right. more of a more of like a sugar Sour Patch Kids kind of stuff kind of girl.
Someone said candy corn, and I feel like as a kid I liked candy corn just fine.
Here's the thing with candy corn that I think doesn't get talked about enough, because it's really easy to poop on candy corn, because everyone poops on candy corn. Okay. But the thing about candy corn is that the reason that we all have this reaction to it is because it's bad when you eat a lot of it. If you have 3 pieces of candy corn, you will not feel the same way. All it is like corn syrup and sugar. Like you're not going to feel the same way about candy corn after 3 of them. You feel the way that you do because when you were 8 years old, and I'm definitely speaking from experience, because I remember, as everyone knows, I was a chubby kid growing up. When I was 8 years old, I would eat 30 pieces of candy corn, and then I would feel like absolute garbage, because anyone would feel like garbage after 30 pieces of candy corn.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that ruins you. This idea that like candy corn is like the worst thing ever. First of all, it's a tired take. We gotta retire that take. And secondly, you're not eating it as an adult anyway.
Yeah, I don't think any adult has ever, or at least with any sort of dignity, has ever eaten candy corn.
Not to be judgmental, but you should feel really bad if you're
okay. The only mainstream take about candy or junk food that I do agree with is that Peeps are terrible.
Peeps are Truly disgusting.
They're legitimately bad, like actually bad.
I'm actually trying to remember what they taste like, and I remember because it was a treat. Like my grandma used to buy them for us, right?
Yeah.
And so it was like a big deal, and they look good. As a kid, they looked good to me. And then I would eat it, and I'd be like, "Good God, this is disgusting."
Oh, it's horrible.
But I would forget about it, and the next time I would do it again. So every Easter, I'm just devouring Peeps. I don't even like them. It was the most absurd thing.
The thing is, now that when you become an adult, and especially when you get in your 30s, 40s, etc., is you have to pick and choose what kind of bad food you're going to consume.
Yeah,
exactly. And if you choose poorly, you hate that food even more than you did before.
I have chosen ice cream lately.
Instead
of candy. So
are you doing like regular ice cream, or are you doing like Halo Top?
What's
Halo Top's like the whole carton 270 calorie type ice cream.
Oh, the whole no. I'm talking about like one scoop.
No, I understand. Okay, that's why I'm saying they have like quote unquote healthier ice cream alternatives.
Oh, they do. Oh no,
Yes,
I'm not eating that. But I am eating the only good kind of ice cream, which is vanilla.
Yeah, was it like Haagen-Dazs or something vanilla?
It is
Breyers. Isn't that a brand?
Breyers.
Isn't it like the black container? Is that
yeah. It's so good. God, I love vanilla ice cream.
Yeah, someone said same with alcohol. I feel the same way about it. You look, if you're gonna have, it better be a good drink. If you're gonna be packing on some calories, it better be a good experience for you, or else it's not worth it. Everyone knows, like everyone agrees with this.
You got to get your money's worth if you're gonna booze it up.
Someone said, "Do you Cold Stone soup up your ice cream?"
No.
By the way, I will say this. I saw that Luke Sawhook, one of the people, a member of Fantasy Twitter, got a job at. He literally tweeted it today. Got a job at Graders as their social media manager. Do you know what Graders is? Graders ice cream.
Is it a rival to Cold Stone?
It's a Cincinnati-based ice cream place, and it's now elsewhere. Like we actually randomly got one in my hometown.
Yeah.
But it's the best. I as people know that I'm dairy. I am gluten free too, but I'm dairy free, so I don't eat this ice cream anymore. But it is the best ice cream that you're ever gonna eat.
I hate Cold Stone personally.
It
was a big deal.
Too much.
It's too much. I mean, are you kidding me? I ordered a small, and you give me basically the equivalent of like, I don't know, 30 spoon scoops of ice cream.
Yeah.
It's too much. Also, it's expensive. Also, back in the day when I used to go there in my 20s, they used to sing. You remember this? They sing.
I don't remember this. No.
They used to sing at the one I went to. The workers, leave us a tip. I'm like, come on. I promise I will leave you a tip if you stop singing. This is humiliating. Do you understand?
Oh my gosh.
I stayed in line. I stood in line for like 30 minutes to get that.
I do remember when it first opened, it was very everyone was like, I need to wait 35 minutes. It's like, oh man, looking back, it was also, I found out today, Amanda was watching something and a Quiznos commercial. Did you know Quiznos is still alive?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I see the commercials. Yeah.
I had no idea that Quiznos was still a thing.
I mean, I haven't been to a Quiznos since George Bush. No, not to get political, but
yeah, I mean, I haven't either. All right, next question. At number one punna. A form of edging is definitely when the account likes a post, but it doesn't get read on the pod. Who does the most cultivating of the questions? I do. I cultivate the questions, and it's a form of edging, evidently. But I did finally read that. Sorry to the kids. Next question. At Justin White VA. Is it wrong to have players I root for more than I normally would because they make all the right people triggered and mad online? If it's not, Caleb Williams is already next to Lamar Jackson in the top tier for me.
So wait, so you draft players?
You just enjoy players who trigger other people for no reason, basically.
I'm with that. I get it.
Yes, we do that all the time. I mean, Lamar Jackson's probably one of the poster childs for that.
He's crushing. Yeah, he's going to win his third MVP.
Brock Purdy has become that, or did become that, last year. So I hate the just extreme discourse usually. So if there is extreme discourse about a player, I'm gonna side with the player and become a fan.
Yeah, no, I totally get that impetus.
Next question. At Ryan Seal 13. Pretend you actually leave your mother's basement. When traveling on a plane, what are your go-to snacks, movies, shows, etc.? Please touch on plane etiquette in general.
Okay. I just so on the way to Greece, I went to Greece. I don't know if I mentioned that. I downloaded some movies to my phone for the first time ever. I've never done that before.
Yeah.
And I watched several movies on the way, including Back to the Future 2,
Not
and
3.
oh no, God, I can't do 3.
Did I tell you that but just a side note really quick. Did I tell you that I went and saw the Back to the Future musical when it came to Charlotte?
No.
Oh, it was amazing.
It sounds great.
It was more of like a spectacle because the last musical I'd gone to was Hamilton in New York City earlier in the year, like last December. But yeah, it was like a spectacle. It was very cool. I'm a huge Back to the Future nerd though. So I'm
you are? Oh,
yeah, I love
that.
it's probably top 5 movie ever for me.
It's a fun movie. It's a fun movie to watch.
Yeah.
Space Troop, what is it? Star Troopers, what is that one called?
Spaceballs?
No. Somebody help me out here.
Starship Troopers?
Starship Troopers. I watched that and I didn't get it, but okay. Let's see. Yeah, so I downloaded a bunch of stuff. Anyway, I watch those, I sleep, and then I read books on planes.
You want to know what I did on that trip to New York? Actually, it was for a friend's 40th, and it was 3 couples. We all flew up there. It was last football season. Remember, we did I was back for the Sunday or whatever. But this is going to be one of the nerdiest things that I ever admit on this show and talk about on this show. But you know what? I am unapologetically me, Denny. I brought my Nintendo Switch and I played the new Super Mario Brothers on the plane.
That's so much worse than I thought it would be.
And guess what? I beat the game because I'd been playing it. I beat the game
Oh man,
on the plane.
Back to mom's basement you go.
Look, you know what? If it's something that you enjoy, just do the damn thing. You know? What do I have to prove to anyone? I'm a fantasy football podcaster for a living. What do I need to do? I don't need to prove anything to anyone. This is my life. It's a joke. All of it's a joke.
Okay, Joker. Jeez. Yeah, I do. I get that. I actually would have loved for some video game to play on the way to Greece because I got a little bored.
Dude,
myself.
The new Super Mario is awesome too. Super Mario Wonder, it was great.
I actually ended up watching most of a Liam Neeson movie on somebody else's screen.
Oh, you did
that. Yeah. What was the one? Taken? Is that the one?
Yeah.
And I watched like 45 minutes of that on somebody else's screen.
We when I went to South Korea back in like a decade ago, I think we were doing Living the Stream at the time, or maybe it was like right before Living the Stream. But me, Amanda, and then a buddy of mine all went to South Korea to visit a friend who was teaching there for a few years. And so we spent 10 days there and just decided, we were like 23 years old. So we're like, yeah, let's go. Like, of course we're going to do this. And we would, since it's like a 13-hour flight, we went from Detroit to South Korea. Me and my buddy and Amanda, we would hit play at the same time to be able to watch the movies together.
No, that's so sweet.
Yeah, very, very cute.
Sweet. By the way, I knew you at that time.
Yeah.
I think.
You definitely, I mean, it was 2013, or no, 2012, I think. But yeah, you probably would have. Yeah.
We were podcasting. Wow.
Someone said South Korea, I need a Patreon. Guys, I was like broke when I did that. I mean,
ain't nobody have a Patreon in 2013. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's 20, like I'm a recent college grad. I knew that I wouldn't have that opportunity ever again in my life to go to Seoul. And so we went to Seoul for 10. It was one of the best, I mean, probably the best trip that we've ever gone on. It was amazing.
Yeah, sounds amazing.
Next question. This is at Justin White VA again. For Denny, what is the most brutal? Listening to Phil Collins' entire music catalog.
Oh.
Have we talked about this? You don't like Phil Collins?
Oh,
we talked about this, right?
The stone worst.
You're an idiot.
I knew it would be strong. I didn't think it would be that strong.
All right. What's most brutal? Listening to Phil Collins, the latest time your wife left you, taking multiple zeros in a half dozen leagues from Debo, Juju, Whittington, Dell, Smith, in some cases, after being seemingly misled by coaches.
I mean, Phil Collins. That's the answer.
Phil Collins.
It's just the most boring, uninteresting music ever made.
You're out of your mind.
I mean, I don't know about him as a person. I actually don't know anything about him. but his music is so incredibly uninteresting. It's actually mind-boggling, and it stands out to me on the radio because I feel weighed down.
I remember we've talked about this. I forgot that we've talked about this before.
Oh,
you have brought this up, and
like,
I think I brought up, In the Air Tonight. There's Against All Odds. I don't know how, and you don't like anything from Genesis. Genesis at least had like really good like beats, really interesting, just like tones and music. Not necessarily lyrically, sure. Like that's probably what you're referring to. Though.
I mean, here are the radio around here that plays a bunch of 70s and 80s, whatever. I will turn it off if the following artist comes on. AC/DC, any AC/DC, I turn it off. It's the worst band of all time. Phil Collins, turn it off. Aerosmith, turn it off. And that's about it.
Are you? So I've learned this via just there's like studies that have been done. There are people who, when they listen to music, they're more lyrical with it and they listen to the words a lot more and they don't really care about the music as much. And there's people who just care about kind of the vibes and what it sounds like to them. Like how it, like the move, like how they're moved by the actual sound of it. Right. And I am the latter person. Lyrics oftentimes don't hit for me until I listen to a song like 10 times. Like I can't really comprehend what they're saying the first or second time that I listen to it.
I don't know which one I am of that of those archetypes. Maybe I think I'm a blend of each. But I will say I like a song with some movement. Okay, I like a song that will hit you with like an unexpected bridge or some sort of variation from the song itself, where you're like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
and I mean, first of all, that ceases to exist. There is no more interesting music being made. But Phil Collins he doesn't do it for me.
Interesting. All right, next question. At the other Hensley, my morning schedule is coffee, then 1 hour later, bathroom like clockwork. Every morning. When an event messes with that timing, like a long meeting or travel, can you recover the next day and get right back on schedule? Or does it mess is your timing for like a week? Does it mess with your timing for like a week?
No, I can get right back on schedule.
Yeah, I can too. I can usually do it too. There's some times where like, if I was sick, maybe it would take a couple days, but never a week. A week is a pretty long time to get.
That's a long time. And by the way, one time I couldn't get back on schedule. So you know what I did? I bought a can of prune juice, and I think it was like prune juice concentrate. I think
you forced the issue a little bit.
I drank the whole thing.
That's a terrible idea.
I didn't know. Like my wife was like, you were only supposed to take like 2 sips.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I drank the whole thing. Let me tell you, it was a bad morning. It was a situation.
That is a lot. Next question at Tom Otten _FF. For the record, no relationship to Kate Otten.
Tell your guy to catch more passes.
At what age is it acceptable to make toilet noises in a public toilet? To make toilet, see, this is now that I'm rereading this, I thought that it meant like you're making like grunts or something while you're going to the bathroom, but now you're saying toilet noises as if you're like making the noise that a toilet makes. I think I'm assuming that this question is about like grunting while going to the bathroom.
I feel like you just shouldn't be doing that
I don't think you should. You should probably never do that.
Maybe
look, if it's really bad, maybe like a loud breath. I'd be like a sigh
with my son. I'd be mad at him.
Yeah, you can't be like, what are you screaming like an Austin Powers when he grabs the dude? Yeah. Who does number 2 work for?
Who's number 2? I'm sorry. Yeah, God,
yeah, man. Speaking of that, what's your take on Austin Powers?
Well, it didn't hold up, but I mean,
no, it didn't at all.
At the time, it was hysterical. Like Zoomers will never understand the appeal, and I get it. In hindsight, it's dumb as hell. But yeah. Austin Powers to me was like the height of comedy in the 90s.
Yeah, I look back because I think when Austin Powers 2 came out, I was in like 3rd grade or something like that, and my dad took me to it. Yeah, what, Denny? I'm like, what are you trying to say?
I just didn't realize. How old are you now?
28. No, I'm 30. I'm 36 right now.
Okay.
When did Austin Powers 2 come out?
Are you looking it up?
Yeah, I am. So keep talking.
Okay. Well, I mean, I just thought it was
1999. Okay, so I would have been 11 when that came out. Maybe it was the original one that I went and saw
Okay.
when I was way too young.
Well.
But there were jokes that just like flew over my head.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know, and
Right.
then I look back and I'm like, wow, this was actually pretty intense for a third grader to be.
Oh yeah, way too much. Way
Yeah.
too much. I remember seeing Dumb and Dumber in theaters and like being doubled over in like painful laughter. Like
Yeah.
it's the funniest thing ever. I saw it, I don't know, like 6 months ago. I saw it on TV and I was like, this is the worst.
You didn't laugh once.
No, it's the worst.
Yeah. All right, we got one more question. We're gonna go back to steak knife ob. Do you use the drawers and or closets when you're staying at a hotel? I'm too paranoid I would forget something in them, so I live out of my suitcase.
I live out of the suitcase. I've never had the occasion of unpacking in that way. I mean, if you're going to stay for 2 weeks, maybe you do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think that I've ever stayed in a hotel for long enough to even think to do something like that. How long would it have to be? Like a week, probably?
At least a week.
Yeah, because when I go, like, I remember growing up, we'd go and like stay at the beach for a week and stay at a condo or something like that. And I would then, when you get there, you kind of make yourself at home, unpack, put stuff away, because there's drawers everywhere. And that's, you know, you're trying to be a little bit laid back and feel like you're living there for the week, you know?
I have a bad experience actually with this situation. So the first time my first job sent me on a business trip, okay, I was supposed to go to a convention in Anaheim, which let me tell you, Anaheim is the worst. Like, wow, Anaheim is like,
sorry to the Anaheimians that are out there.
I don't know how anybody actually lives in Anaheim, but so I'm there. I'm feeling, I'm 23, 24 years old. I'm feeling very like adult and grown up, right? So I unpack my suit. I'm there for 3 nights. I unpack my suitcase. I put my suit in the closet. Okay, I put my shirt in the closet. I put my shoes in the closet. I left all of them. I left all of them.
Just left them.
I'm getting in. I'm sitting down on the plane, and I go, wait a second. I didn't get my suit and stuff. It's still in the closet because it was closed. It was closed.
Oh man,
so
especially when you were younger too, where that's like an expensive thing to leave behind.
I had to go spend $300 on this to replace this stuff. I was devastated. I was making no money. I remember calling the hotel and being like, "Can you please send it to me?" And they were like, "We don't know what you're talking about, sir."
Yeah.
Like, oh, come on, man.
What's so bad about Anaheim? I haven't been to Anaheim. Is that where is Disneyland in Anaheim?
It's from where I was staying, it was like 30 miles away, but there was just literally nothing. There would be like a shopping center with like 4 stores and then nothing for like miles and miles and miles. And there were no cars on the road anywhere. And my hotel was sitting alone in a place where I was like, am I like at the Hotel California? Like I have no idea how to get anywhere here.
I need someone to give me an analogy of Anaheim to LA.
Oh,
like
yeah,
other cities to like wrap my head around what that relationship is.
It was just the most vacant, like fake city or something. Does it
have like a skyline?
Not where I was staying. There was nothing resembling a skyline. And
people from it, like, we have to have a listener from Anaheim, I would assume. And that person listening right now is tilting their face off.
So I got there at midnight. Anaheim time, and I was starving, so I found a Wendy's and I walked to the Wendy's. Right, I didn't have a car. I didn't have a rental car. I walked to the Wendy's. It's closed, so I walk through the drive-through and I order. And when I get to the window, they won't give me the food because I'm not in a car. And I said, "Please, I'm so hungry," and they said no, and I had to go to bed hungry. And I've never been sadder.
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, Denny, that's it for today's show. Let everyone know where they can find you.
At CD Carter 13 on the X platform, formerly known as Twitter. You can find all of my work on RotoWorld.
I'm on Twitter at LateRoundQB. Check out all my stuff over on LateRound.com. Denny, we're going to raise that money, and you are going to eat the rest of those Oreos the next time we see you.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll catch you next week.
Thank you for listening to Living the Stream. We hope you enjoyed the internet podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes now. It won't take long, it's fast. For more fantasy football info, check out
LateRound.com and NBC Sports Edge.
Hope you come back soon as we share about the teams and as we live in the